I'm going to start reinforcing some of my joints inside here, but I want to keep the coil because I think it looks cool. And then after that, then I'm going to start smoothing things up, pressing things in, adding things, and making it look pretty. The main build is done, other than I do want to add some decorative elements for a foot later on. This is still a little bit on the wobbly part, so I'm being very dainty with it yet, but it's a good consistency to reinforce joints. So that's what I'm going to do. For reinforcing a joint, I just took a break here for a second and I slipped and scored our miter joint together, and then with my paper clip I added some score marks right in the corner, because when we reinforce pieces we still have to slip and score our reinforced piece in where this crevice is going to be. So then I took another kneaded chunk of my clay and I'm going to roll out a coil. Now, when you're rolling out coils by hand and not using something like an extruder like what we would have at school, the key is to use your fingertips and not so much your palm. So then I just take and I roll, and once in a while it's going to want to roll kind of flat, so then I can just turn it, readjust it, and then as I roll, I'm moving my hands apart and I'm spreading my fingers out. You can get really nice coils this way. I'm doing this kind of quick, and I know I don't need that much of a coil, so I'm going to get rid of some of my extra. I just want a thin one, just as a reinforcement for that corner. Something like that. It's not the prettiest, but I know I'm going to kind of squish it into that corner, so I didn't take a lot of time on it. So now I'm going to take the slip together miter joint that I had, and I'm going to lay this coil in here. Now if your clay is a little dry, you still may want to score the back side of the coil. This clay is a little bit on the wet side, and I'm going to smush this into my crevice there. Still going to show you this stuff just in case some of you might need to use it. And again, I don't need this whole coil, so I'm not going to score the whole thing. And then I would take a little bit of my slip, and it's kind of hard to get my finger in here. I can't get the slip exactly where I want. It's just mostly water, and that's not what I want. It needs to be slip. So I'm going to take the slip that's on my finger and I'm placing it on the coil. So it looks kind of like that. And then I lay that in here, get rid of my excess that I don't need. And then fit this in here. And then you have a choice. If you want this to become an inside decorative element, if you're going to see this and you want the coil edges to remain, then you may just smooth top and bottom. Now I realize most of you might not have a paintbrush, so that's why I'm not using one. I might take my t-shirt rag, dip it just in a little bit of water, squeeze most of it out, and just run it along each side, because that can get in the grooves a little bit easier than my fingers can. That's if you want to keep that nice decorative edge that you've got. If you don't want to see this, then you can just take, while you're supporting your outside, and you can just smush the walls away until everything is pretty much blended away. And it'll look better than this. I'm doing this kind of quick and not really facing myself. So it looks more like that. So that's how you can reinforce a joint. Okay, so now you've got your construction tools for joinery.